Welcome to step 5, and we're going to take a look around a simulator called Velocidrone. So let's take a quick look around Velocidrone, which I already have installed on my PC here. And when you've purchased a standard license, and by the way, none of the extra packs like the freestyle packs are necessary, you'll log in and fire up Velocidrone and be presented with this screen. We'll click single player, and then we need to choose a quad or add a quad. Now Velocidrone does have the TBS Source 1 quad that we're showing in this webinar, but you do actually need the freestyle pack for this quad. So to avoid any confusion, we'll choose the Armatan Badger here, which comes stock with the sim and is similar and is also a great freestyle quad that's suitable for beginners. So we'll choose this and have a look around the quad by dragging the mouse on the main screen. We can see all the main components that we've been through in our steps. You can change various settings for the quad, like the size of the battery and many other things, but we'll leave these alone and just click Select Quad. The next screen we come to is Select Scenery, and there are literally loads of different scenes to choose from. To keep things easy, we're going to start in Empty Scene Day and choose a track called LOS Training, or Line of Sight Training, that I have previously downloaded and installed. This will be similar to what we'll be doing when we take our drone outside for the first time. But don't worry, I'll show you some FPV here as well. So when we click Select Scenery, this is where we are. First thing we need to do is change the flight mode to angle, because this will give you much more stability than rate mode, which is the same as Acro mode. There is another mode called Horizon, but my advice is to stay away from that, and when you've cracked it in angle mode, move straight to rate or Acro. So initially we're in FPV mode here, and if we click on Help here, we can see that we can do lots of things like change the camera angle like this, up or down. And the camera angle is important when you're flying FPV, but for the moment we're just going to look at doing some line of sight training. But you can play around with the different switches listed in this help section. So let's switch from FPV to pilot or line of sight mode by pressing the F key. And now we can actually see our drone in front of us. We can also adjust the field of view with the scroll wheel on our mouse, like this. And it's probably a bit easier to start with the quad a little further away from you. And if we click the M key, we can see the radio controller sticks, so you can watch the movement of the sticks. So we can now carefully and slowly throttle up to about 6 feet or so, and just get the feel of hovering there. And then bring it down slowly and land. Don't worry about where you land for the moment. Let's take it up again and look at the stick movements. We can rotate to the left and to the right by moving the left stick to the left and to the right. And we can pitch forwards and backwards by moving the right stick up and down. And we can roll to the left and to the right by moving the right stick to the left and to the right. You'll notice that in angle mode, if we let go of the right stick, say when we're rolling, which is easier for you to see here, the quad will automatically level itself. So you get the picture, and now we're flying our virtual drone. Just practice taking off, hovering, and when you feel comfortable, have a play with the yaw, pitch and roll sticks to move around. And remember, the beauty of all this is that you can make as many mistakes as you like and you won't damage your real quad. Now you might be asking, why is John showing us line of sight when we want to fly FPV? Well, when we take our real quad outside, which I'll show you in a bit, you're going to need to check that the quad is working correctly before actually flying FPV, as we have better visual orientation and can actually see our quad, which makes it much easier to perform these safety checks. For the moment, when flying line of sight, just remember to keep the quad facing away from you and in front of you. And at any moment the quad starts to drift too close to you, make sure that you quickly descend and land. And with the real quad, you'll also need to remember to disarm to stop the motors spinning. So once you've had a bit of practice flying line of sight and doing some checks on the sticks, we can move on to demonstrate a bit of FPV. So we'll change to a nice easy track called Pylons here, in the same empty scene day scenery. And we'll change to FPV by clicking the F key again. You can click the R button at any time to reset the position of the quad. And we'll throttle up to take off gently and start moving towards the first pylon by pitching forwards. Now I can't stress enough how important it is to control the throttle to keep the quad low. Again, at about 6 to 10 feet is okay. And think of the throttle stick as your foot on the accelerator in your car. If you leave the accelerator in one position without constantly controlling it, your car's going to just keep going at that speed. And it's the same with the throttle stick. If you throttle up and just leave it there without thinking about it, what's going to happen? The quad is going to keep going up. So let's bring it down and practice revving that throttle gently to get the feel of controlling the height or the altitude. Now don't worry if you drift off from the pylons on the track. If you stuff up, just bring it down and reset your position by clicking R. When you feel you've got throttle control, then you can concentrate on directing the quad with the other sticks to keep it going where you want it to go. Now this will be frustrating to begin with, and probably for a while, as you now have 3 different sticks to control. You've got the yaw to rotate, as we looked at, the roll stick to bank left and right, and the pitch stick to move forwards and backwards. And remember, because the pitch can move the quad backwards, it can be used to put the brakes on the quad as well. So it's a combination of the movement of these 3 sticks that will keep you in the right direction. And so we can try going through some pylons around the track. And we'll land. And look, remember that this is just a demo, and I can't teach you to fly in one demo. This is just so you can get the general gist of it. Let's look quickly at another great scene in Velocidrone, which is this one here called Countryside. And before you know it, you'll have got the hang of angle mode, and you'll be wanting to switch to Acro mode, where all the movements of the quad are completely controlled by you. Now this may feel difficult to begin with because you don't have the stabilization that angle mode provides, but after a bit you'll feel completely free to fly the way you want to fly without being restrained by angle mode. And believe me, once you crack this, it's the most liberating experience. And to begin with, you might find that you're using a bit too much yaw and will be rotating into turns rather than banking into turns with a combination of yaw and roll. But it won't be long before you're doing more coordinated turns using both the roll and the yaw sticks to perform nice smooth turns. Now I have exercises that can help you improve and perfect this, but that's outside the scope of this webinar. But remember, you will improve, and it won't be long before you're pulling off really controlled turns and also doing a few basic tricks like rolls. And flips. And after a while, you'll be ripping around this bando track and loads of other tracks here in Velocidrone, doing some neat tricks. And taking part in races against other real people who are also flying in Velocidrone.